Hello and welcome back. Tonight I'm here with the Woodsman Joe, and we just want to do a kind of a talk about survival mentality and what all that deals with. What do we really need to be prepared for in a survival situation? And Joe, what's your thoughts on the survival mentality?
Well, several factors, but the most important would be the mental game. I mean, it's like 90% mental, 3% physical, and 7% skill, as in fire making, wild edibles, shelter making, trapping. Each one of those is a skill, but a lot of it resorts back to the mentality. Because if you fold or break, then you die, pretty much. And it's the will to survive, the mentality that I think is the most important.
Right.
We can get very deep and elaborate in it and, break it down, but just that in a nutshell would be mentality, I would think. Because, in a bug out scenario situation or something of that nature, something that would make you leave your home, chances are you're going to come across dead bodies, fresh and old, and you got to put that behind you. It's something to think about, that normal people, or I wouldn't say normal people, I would say people that don't talk about this stuff on YouTube. And if you do, then it's very far and few in between. But mentality plays a big part, very big part.
Sure, it's a big change, especially when you mention the dead body. Most people out there haven't seen anything like that.
Right.
So it's going to be kind of a big shock to walk up and actually see maybe somebody starved to death because they lacked the skills or run out of food or whatever, and it's going to be a shock.
Yeah.
And it's definitely going to be a shock just the transition between, I'll run out to the store and get what I want. I'll get in my car and drive wherever. I go back to my home. Because ultimately, if you go on vacation or, go to work, you're always going to come back home.
Right.
And
you never give it that second thought. You're always thinking, I'll see you today, honey. Yeah.
And what happens when you transition, and it won't be a slow either, it's a slow transition. It'll be, something's happening. I have to leave my home now.
Right.
It's going to be a major change to get used to, and something you got to prepare your mind for.
Right. It has to be, you got to prepare yourself for it. Because if you don't, and it happens, then you're in trouble from the get-go.
Sure, and just thinking about, like I mentioned about the grocery store, now you're going to have to hunt for your food.
Right.
It's not made for you. You have to go out and kill it and skin it and cook it over a fire or whatever. And it's a big change, big thing to get used to.
Yeah. And I also, this is me, I'm also big on the 72-hour bag. I don't know where that came from, but to me, that's a joke. If you plan for 3 days, you're playing a joke on yourself. I can't think of anything that allows you to come back to your home in 3 days. Can y'all think of anything that, if it requires you to leave your house, i.e. the police, evacuation, National Guard, U.S. military, anything of that nature, flood, I just can't see it.
That's what I was going to bring up, was the flood. Even in flood situations, even after maybe the water comes up, subsides in 2 or 3 days, you've still got a disaster.
Right.
You're not going to be able to come in and, I'm going to bed.
Right.
You're going to have all this mud and stuff in your house, stuff destroyed, and you may not even be able to get to your house. So, yeah, there's really not very many situations at all where you're just going to be able to go right back to your
normal life, right? And well, let's take the bug out a little further. I mean, that's a good majority of people's mindsets is in natural disaster aspect bugging out. What about, let's say, the economy collapses, or we get attacked, or I don't know, martial law or something of that nature, especially in the Christian side of the house. I mean, when you leave, you're going to leave for good. That type of bug out scenario. And that's the type or classification that I'm in, is if I have to leave my home, it's got to be for a pretty daggone good reason.
Yeah.
And I have no plans whatsoever to return back to my home.
For the long term.
For the long term, right. I'm not a short term individual, prepper, whatever you want to call it. But leading up to this, I'm also, in my pack, I will have all 4 seasons of clothes, no matter what the season I'm in. Because, they'll be sealed up in vacuum sealed packs, that way they can't get water. So if it's springtime, I still have the other 3 seasons in my pack. I can get out in the mountains so far away, ditch them things, put them under a rock, under a log, something of that nature, back in a cave, and come back and get them when I need them. Like when the heat's down or something, That's, and you don't hear a lot of talk about that either. Like I said, I'm different from a lot of people.
I totally agree with you, because, well, and it may sound cheesy or whatever, but the Boy Scout motto,
right.
Always be prepared.
Always be prepared.
Well, it may sound cheesy, but it is relevant. I mean,
right.
You never know. You never know what situation you're going to get in. And it's good to prepare for, okay, well, even if I'm going to be out a few days, say something happened here, like we talked about, a flood or a tornado, you know how long it takes for, to clean up the mess from that.
Right.
Even if I'm in a shorter survival period, I would rather have the stuff and not need it than need it and not have it.
Exactly. And that saying, the more you know, the less you carry. True and false. And I refer back to what you said. I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it.
True.
I'm not saying carry everything under except the kitchen sink, but
I think there's kind of a balance.
There's got to be a happy medium.
I mean, there's people out there that talk about, like they're Rambo or something. I'm going to go in the woods with my knife.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make it. And, you need a little more gear than that.
Right.
But you can't carry your house on your back either.
True.
So I think there's a balance. And kind of what I've done with my stuff is looked at it as what's essential.
Yes.
What's things that I'm absolutely going to need, like things to start a fire. How many different ways do you need to start a fire? In case, okay, we're out in the rain or a storm, some of my tinder gets wet. Do I have another way?
Right.
A backup. How am I going to sustain myself on food? Do I have, enough hunting tools or things to make hunting tools?
Right. Trapping or something, what have you.
Trapping, right.
But to go a little bit further on food, this is where I would get 4 to 6 inch sewage pipe and put my food preps in, cap it off on both sides, and take it in the mountains, bury it 2 foot underground. That way I know for a fact it's there waiting on me if the scenario would happen, for me to bug out. So that's one item, and that's a peace of mind that I really don't got to pay a lot of attention to, although we know food's going to run out sooner or later. But it's still that much weight out of my pack that I can put something else in. And then going back to the clothes, the 4 seasons, 2 pairs of pants, 2 shirts, pair of socks, underwear, you know, that's right at 10 pounds. So you do that, that's 15, 20 extra pounds going out of your pack. So you've actually lightened your load by 30, 40 pounds right there.
Right. Well, the bare bones of survival, kind of getting back to that, what I'm reminded of in a situation like that is some of the soldiers in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
There were some things and stories that came back from that war that of just heroes. And when you really dig into the stories and what happened, they made a decision, or they went forward with something because they knew it meant, you know, they had to.
Right.
If they didn't, you know, who knows what could have happened.
True.
It's not only their survival, but of course they were fighting for our country.
Right.
But in a lot of cases it was just kind of grit your teeth and go do it. I've heard many stories from my grandparents talking about how in Germany their clothes actually froze on them.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the luxury of stopping and saying, oh, well, I'm cold, I'm going to go back home.
I'm going to shrivel up and die right here.
Yeah. They made that decision, and the mentality to go through, follow through. You know, I've come this far, I'm going to survive. I can't quit now.
The will to survive.
Right. It's a lot to do with the will to survive, like you said. And I think that's what it's going to take in that situation.
And I'm big. I wouldn't say big, but I don't know how to put it in words. Let's say, okay, us 4 here, we got all of our gear, we got everything, we got our caches and all that out the mountain or wherever, but we don't execute a plan, let's say, or execute a scenario, camping trips. Okay, the code words come down, we go to our meeting spot, and I mean actually go through it like something happened. Chances are what we're preparing for is not going to happen, but it'll be something different. But you're still going to go through your same plan, your same basis. You know?
Right. Yeah. I think that helps prepare you mentally.
Right.
To go run through it and
make it as real as possible. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, not just, well, okay, it's another Saturday night call up, you know, be called in 5 minutes, you know. No, I mean, spur of the moment, 2:30 in the morning.
Right.
You know, catch you off guard. Make it as real as possible.
I think that's a very good thing to, you know, get you mentally prepared
Right.
for, oh, this is really it.
Right.
Then you're not surprised. You know, it's okay. You know, I know what to do.
Have your gear packed, ready to grab and go.
Like with the martial arts side of it, muscle memory.
Muscle memory, right.
You do it enough and it's just a habit.
Right. Which, you know, at the current moment of this time or this video here, I'm guilty of not practicing that spur of the moment scenario situation. And I'm sure a lot of other individuals are too. You know, they got the mindset of, I know what's going to happen, what's going to do, what I'm going to do, what she's going to do, what he's going to do. We're going to do it when the time comes. You'll halfway do it when the time comes.
Right.
It'll be a big, what's the word? GF gaggle. You know.
Yeah. So what do you think about or what could you tell people watching about the darker side of that?
Meaning?
Like the darker side of the mentality. Some of the things they'll be facing that's not pleasant.
As in like what? Like maybe having to leave a member behind or family member behind or something of that nature?
Right.
Well, first and foremost, I know I love my wife. And I'm sure you love your wife and vice versa. God forbid something happened to her. But I'm preparing for me. You know, there's only one me, there's only one her. And I think the person should have that mindset as well, as in CYA, cover your own. Do the best you can while you can, because this is the peacetime norm time. All my knowledge that I have, I'm trying to push it into her. I wouldn't say push it, but teach her what I know. Because for the longest time, she's like, well, I got you. Why do I got to make fire? Why do I got to do this? Why do I have to know this plant? That's what I got you for. Well, Becky, I might die. I may get hurt. I may break a leg. You may have to throw me in the MRE or something and leave me behind to not sacrifice the whole team. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It truly is. Let's say she falls and breaks a leg. Camouflage her the best you can or something. Give her a couple of MREs. We go on to the next destination, unload our equipment, then come back and get her. That way we're only packing her and the bag instead of our bags and her too. But that's another big decision that a lot of people has to make, and I mean, a lot of people may get mad at me for that. Well, you're just hateful. You're just a mean old bastard or something. No, I'm surviving. You have anything to add to that I maybe missed or something?
Well, no, kind of something else that comes to my mind is defending. The thought that you might have to fight other people.
Oh, yeah.
To defend what you have. I'm looking at a worst case scenario here where what if somebody did invade or, something like that happened and disrupted.
You talking about like a Red Dawn or a Mad Max scenario?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Right, because that's what I think of Mad Max, total annihilation, the end.
Right. And I wonder, the difference between now where we feel safe, where we're at and everything's okay, and then suddenly we're pitched into a world where I've got to defend, maybe I have a 4-person group. This is my family.
Right.
And we have enough food for us. We have this little area where we know we have enough game to feed us, or we know we have enough crops or plants to eat, and somebody comes in to take that away from you.
I'm shooting them dead.
Yeah, or the possibility of having to defend you or your family against somebody who would try to kill you or take away your stuff.
Well, I look at it like this. The native Indians, they had certain regions. They stayed within those boundaries. If this deer or buffalo went over to this other Indian's territory, I know not to cross that boundary line because it would start a war, a conflict.
Right.
Most likely he would probably shoot and kill it and hope to go get it and bring it back to his side before that opposing whatever. And that's the same way you have to go to. And just like animals, a coyote won't go into another coyote's territory or a wolf's territory. They got that, I wouldn't say mutual respect, they just know better,
Yeah, like their areas.
Right, their AOs, area of operations. We're creatures too, we're just smarter, I wouldn't say smarter, we just talk and got digital fingers.
We have intelligence.
Right.
At least some of us.
At least some of us, right. But we're the most easiest influenced. They are. We do anything 2 weeks or longer and we're used to it. Or we're the most, we're the weakest of all of them. We can't go bare-skinned out there in the wilderness or whatever without shelter and clothing or what have you.
Your problems.
But, yeah, if I stock my AO up, 15 miles, and I patrol it on a regular basis, and I don't see no one in there doing the same thing as me, and I see somebody approaching, I'm gonna drop them, because they're not taking what I have You know, although they may be trying to make it for their family, but
You're watching out for your family.
right.
Right.
I mean, you know, and that's bad to say. Like I said, you know, well, he's just a mean old bastard. You know, stay away from. No, it's survival 101. It's a dog eat dog. When it comes to root hog or die, people will do what they will not normally do, and you have to have that mentality. You know, yeah, I may not actually shoot that individual or something of that nature. I may get turned around and don't never come this way again. But you'll never know until you're placed in that situation. But
Right.
mentality, mindset, you come into my AO, you're dead.
Right. You're prepared.
You're prepared to
to-
defeat. Right.
Right. And adding to that too, after doing a little research about situations like this in other countries, there's several people who will tell you that if something like that happens, roadways become war zones.
War zones, right.
Because those people out there who think that they're going to get in their mobile home or RV or their tractor trailer, or if they're a truck driver, and think that they're going to survive and make it down the road, they're messing up.
Yeah.
Because roadways will become just like you were talking about the Mad Max situation.
Yeah.
Those people haven't prepared, and they know they have to survive. They got to have the essential food, water, and if they see you running down the road, it's like you're carrying a billboard. Hey, come take my stuff.
Right.
And they're going to hit you. And I think,
I mean, you may have essentials in your possession, and you may not. I mean, you just may be trying to get out, but
Right.
still, you're a prime target.
I would definitely rethink my strategy on that.
I do not believe in big groups whatsoever. Never have. Simply the military scenario.
What do they call it? Colonies?
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
Lord, no. Don't. No. I mean, no. Absolutely not. Squad of 5. You know. Small insurgent groups. You know. Let's say us 4. You know, this is probably about as big as I'd want. Because it's hard enough to feed one man out there, much less all of us. You know. And there's going to be days that we will go hungry. You have to keep that mindset as well. You're not going to have squirrel, rabbit, deer, bear every day of the week.
Sure.
You may be eating plantain or dandelions for 3 days, and then again you could go a week and not eat nothing.
And that's where it comes into, well, I'll put this in both groups. You were talking about was it the 3% skill?
You know,
And
7% skill, 3% physical.
right, the 7% skill. You have the skill, and you know, to be able to recognize what you can eat. But then there's the mental part of it too. I want my steak dinner,
Right.
but now I have plants to eat and stuff that I've never seen, you know, until a survival situation.
Right.
You're gonna have to get past the yuck factor, I'll call it.
Good name. We'll call it the yuck factor. The ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you either eat or starve,
Right.
and you have to do it. I mean, that would be a hurdle for some people.
Well, my wife, for one, I mean, she'll be first to admit. She has ate I'm gonna say three deer dinners in her life. And she said she won't eat deer. Let her stomach start gnawing her backbone. She'll tear a deer up. Guarantee it. She may not skin it, she may not gut it, but I guarantee you she'll be eating it. Or she'll starve to death, you know.
You do a lot of things when you're hungry.
When you're hungry. Yeah, well, look at it like this. Cigarettes is a very addictive thing. You don't worry about them as long as you got them. But we all know. We all fall short of money sometimes. We all know we run out of cigarettes. When you're out of money and you're out of cigarettes, what would you do to get a cigarette? You would almost go rob a bank to go get a pack of cigarettes, would you
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, it's
That's the same way when you're hungry. You don't care what it is, you just know it's going to go in your belly.
It's going to stop this pain.
Right, it's stopping this. Right. But do y'all have anything to share? Or anything? I mean,
well, I totally agree with what you're talking about there. And it's going to be a lot different. I mean, there's so many things to factor in, and I think right now, while we're still okay,
still in the norm, right? That's what I like to call it.
Right. Now is the time to prepare your mind for it.
Prepare your mind, do your routines, just like a football team. If they didn't practice, they wouldn't win no games. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't be as fluent as martial artists. If they didn't train, they wouldn't be fluent in their techniques at the same time. Same as the prepping world. You have the idea, but you never do it. Going back to what we said earlier, when it does come time to do it, you're going to panic. You're going to forget things. You're going to make vital mistakes. And time, seconds is life. You know, every second is crucial. And it's, like I said, it's totally different from living in our homes than living out here in the mountains or in a city or someplace like that. Because it's like we said at the beginning of this, it's night and day difference, instant.
Of course, the interesting thing about it, what we're talking about preparing to do, or if, should that happen, the things that we're trying to relearn, and that's what we're doing, we're relearning.
Relearning, right.
Because the people before us
lost knowledge.
Think about the Indians. They never knew what a car was, what any of these things we have today are. They just thought that was normal, what they did. The settlers, the old mountain men and trappers.
The 1800s, right?
They walked in with a small pack on their back, with limited stuff, bedroll, your skinning and trapping equipment,
right,
which wasn't a lot, and a small possible bag and your black powder rifle. And they survived that way. That's how they lived, and they raised their families this way. Mm-hmm. So I think we're relearning something that's been lost over time.
Yeah.
And it's funny that we're preparing our minds for going back in the past.
Right.
Which a lot of people say we've made progress, but I don't so much agree with that, because I think people were better off back in the simple days.
Yes. Well, they was healthier for one.
Eat a healthier diet.
A healthier diet. I mean, they never fell over of heart attacks, cholesterol. I'm sure there was a few obesity people, but they worked the fields. Their work and our work is two different types of work.
As to kind of quote a documentary I watched here recently, today we're fat, sick, and lazy because we're eating a diet that's horrible. Yeah. We're eating all this processed stuff and things that are so horrible for our body. And then what do we do when we get home? You sit in front of the TV, in front of the computer. Those people went out and carried their own water.
Right.
Hand worked their crops instead of
slaughtered their own hogs, things like that.
Right. And they worked that stuff out of their body.
System, right.
And now I'm going to push a button, or I'm going to ride this little equipment and, make it.
Call in a pizza.
Yeah. while I'm working, I'm going to eat this pizza.
Heat and eat.
Yeah.
Heat and eat.
Let's take a quick break, refreshment break.
All right.
And we'll be back about talk about injuries.
Injuries. Okay.
What to do, and the mental part that goes with how are you going to deal with injuries and things like that.
Okay.